to take that short walk off the long pier into the infinite abyss, I said, I really want to follow this along. And I had several psychic experiences with her as she got ready to pass, and then when she did pass. Let's see, 7 days before she passed, I channeled, and in came a guide called Serapis, I asked Spirit. I didn't ask for Serapis. I asked Spirit if there was anything that could be done to help my mother. She'd been 6 months in hospice, and maybe there was still something we could do. I was still in denial. Could you believe it? And in comes Serapis Bey, and he says to me, well, your mother will be transitioning in a few days. There's nothing more that can be done. And I found out later on Serapis Bey was her guide, her major master guide. And I also found out that he was from Egypt, and he led the Mystery School of Healing in Egypt, and he was an ascended master. So that was kind of interesting. Then 2 days later, she went into her final coma. And if you read any books from hospice, they tell you this is pretty standard. They'll have a surge of energy, a person who's getting ready to transition, then they'll go to their final coma. That night she came to me in a 3-dimensional dream, woke me up. She was still in her earth body, and she came running over to me, and she woke me up and said, Laura, I love you so much. And then a few days later she did pass, and that was the night she flew next to me. And there were a whole myriad of other things that happened, but that's just a snippet of it.
When you're walking through the shopping center, when you're walking through an airport, or if you're on a busy street, do spirits try to communicate with you?
Nope. I have to tune in. I think because of the trauma I experienced as a young child, seeing spirit without any kind of control over it, I kept praying, please stop this, please stop. And so what happened is my guides have set up a very nice structure. So when I want to turn it on, I turn it on. When I don't want to see it, I turn it off.
All the different shows on television these days with psychics, mediums, channelers, tarot card readers, ghostbusters, and the list goes on and on and on. How do you feel as a professional watching some of these shows?
That's such a great question. Well, one thing is, you know, as a professional, we can see what's really going on. And just to relate to your last question, it seems sensational for a psychic to present that they just can't turn it off, that ghosts come to them everywhere they go. Well, if you watch carefully, you do see they are sending out energetic feelers when they do make a connection. So there's no ghost coming over and knocking them over the head with a club.
They're going over and knocking the head of the ghost with a club.
Yeah, I mean, they are tuning in, but most people that are not, most consumers are not educated to see what's going on. And that's okay, it's fine. It's just the real process of it is not understood. And how do I feel? Well, I feel good about it, basically, because I think what it's done is taken it out of the yucky, witchy closet and made it fun and made it acceptable and more understood, so that, for example, me, I don't have to scream every time somebody asks me what I do for a living. I just say I'm a medium. I do spiritual healing with people. So it's made it more acceptable.
What's the difference between doing a spiritual reading and doing a spiritual healing?
Well, from my perspective, it's all healing. It's all energy. However, there's just gray. It's like a scale of, colors or shades of gray, if you will. When I do a set, I'll call it a session or a reading. I don't like to call them readings because I'm into empowerment. I'm not into telling people their future.
Right.
So so if I'm just doing more of like providing them information, even that's healing because guides come in and they're healing. But we go up the continuum. I do a soul healing type of work where I literally do work with energy as I'm also working with psychic perception. So it's just grades of the same kind of service, but one is I'm calling in energy a little bit more deliberately than the other. When
you're communicating with the other side, and I don't know if anybody's ever asked you this, but I'm going to ask you. Do you communicate with other dimensions? Do you communicate with sentient beings on other planets? Or are these just the earth-bound spirits, or the spirits that have once lived on this planet that you communicate with?
I communicate with anything and everything that is in love and in light. I'm a channeler, which means I will connect with beings from. As a matter of fact, the book Intuition for Success with the Law of Attraction is in part a channeled work from a group of light beings that call themselves the Alpha Omega Light Beings. And I didn't know who they were, and they kept telling me different ways to look them up. And then finally I found out that there is a group that's channeled by, this same group is channeled by other light workers, and they go by other names such as the Brotherhood of Melchizedek. So yes, I channel all kinds of beings, and in particular, I channel that group, the Alpha Omega Light Beings, because they're connected to me in a specific way of the work I'm supposed to be doing on Earth, and maybe some of my ancestry.
Where does reincarnation fit into the entire scenario?
Well, I have I'm a very broad thinker when it comes to this. I believe that we can incarnate in many different dimensions and in many different levels of carnateness, if you will, if there is such a word, in many different levels of density of flesh, if you will. We can have life in many different dimensions and many different locations. So it's not really any different. It's just incarnation means having different iterations of your individuated consciousness in different kinds of environments, so that each of those environments will provide for you a different opportunity for evolution. That's how I look at it.
Why I was asking, because if someone is reincarnated into another person, another being, whether it's in this dimension or the next, and let's say their next of kin would like to communicate with this spirit. If the spirit has been reincarnated, how does that work?
Well, from what I understand, and again, I'm just a consumer of this information. So long as I'm on Earth, I have limited perception. There is still a part of the soul that exists on the other side. There's a footprint. In other words, we don't fully leave all of our energy that comes down to Earth. We have a part of it that still remains there. Another way to look at it is that all of ourselves, all of our incarnations exist at the same time in the world of spirit, connected by the oversoul. So we never really leave anything. We don't leave all of what we were to go into a new incarnation. The incarnations, we are multidimensional beings, and we can exist in several places at the same time, and therefore, even if a soul's incarnated, it could still come in during a mediumship session.
Gotcha. You and I have to take our final break for this hour. X Zone Nation Spirit Medium Laura is our guest. www.spiritmediumlaura.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this short break. Don't go away.
The following program may contain coarse language, violence, nudity, mature subject matter, or scenes which may not be suitable for all viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Exonation Spirit Medium Laura is our guest this hour, www.spiritmediumlaura.com. First of all, Laura, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a great pleasure talking to you. And thanks so much for sharing the information that you have with the Exonation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been quite an adventure, a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
It's my great pleasure. What words of advice or warning would you have for someone listening tonight who's saying, you know what, I think I'd like to be a medium like Spirit Medium Laura?
Well, I think if you feel that you want to do the work, then you should pursue it. Because I believe and teach that our feelings are really our soul speaking to us, particularly if we've learned how to let go of an ego state which is trying to control everything. So, meditate on it, decide if that's really what you want to do, and then move forward. Classes would be helpful. And that's basically it. I mean, you learn a little bit about business as well, because it is a business.
Yeah.
On some level. It is your own business. But that's basically it. If you feel it, I would say it's probably on your path.
Laura, how can listeners know who is a good medium and who to avoid?
Well, usually you want to see either get a reference that this. You have a friend who went to this medium and the medium was great. You want to see their work beforehand if you can. Maybe on my particular website, spiritmediumlaura.com, I actually have live readings that I have recorded on the right side when I do my radio show. So they can see that I do the work. So you want to get some level of credibility to their work. And also you want to know they're ethical. And usually that comes from a reference or some sort of evidence of the work that they do or credential that they have that would lead you to believe that they are good.
Speaking about your radio show, how can listeners tune in?
Well, I created a shortcut to a page on my website, so it's easy for everyone to remember. It's spiritmediumtv.com, and all the particulars are there. It's basically a blog talk radio show twice a week. Excellent.
What's your final words? We got a minute to wrap up. What are your final words for the Exonation?
I want everyone to know that life does continue, at least as far as I'm concerned. And when you finally can understand that, it frees you from fear, and you can live at a higher level of vibration, which is love, which is miraculous. And that is my charter on earth, is to bring people from fear to love and learn how to live at a higher vibration where miracles are commonplace, and lead them forward. And it's my great pleasure to be of service to Spirit and to God.
Laura, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been a great pleasure. I look forward to the next time when you and I meet back here in the X Zone. So until then, my friend, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now. Exonation Spirit Medium Laura has been our guest this hour. Great website, www.spiritmediumlaura.com. That's www.spiritmediumlaura.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as the X Zone continues with yours truly, Rob McConnell, right here from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to give us a call, 800-610-7035, email xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and our website, www.xzoneradiotv.com. I'll be back on the other side of this news break at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology right here in the X Zone. So whatever you do, don't go away, because I'll be right back.